Today on the podcast, it's an honor to welcome Major General Rajpal Punia, an officer in the Indian Army and United Nations Peacekeeping Force. Over his career, he has fought in some of India's most storied battlefields, from the border of China to Kargil to Sierra Leone. And it's a privilege to have him give us insights into leadership, courage, and resilience. You said that you were lucky enough to get into Sainik School. Actually, just read about it before this, and then you have mentioned it. What is Sainik School? Is it a Government of India school? Is it specifically for soldiers or?
Actually, you know what happened? Once the British officers left India, there was the space created for officer cadre in Indian Army, which was taken over by children or the people from the royal families, from the aristocratic kind of background. That is what came in as officer class in the Indian Army. Post 1962, we had this war with China. Thereafter, a study was done that how do we now ensure that our Indian military gets that kind of strength to face and challenge any army in the world. That is one of the points there. It was that we need to get the children from the ground should come as officers, because earlier these children from ground were only coming as soldiers. So they wanted to get in more officers in the Indian Army who represented the ground class. So that is how they started Sainik schools in every state. And this is a government school, initiative by Ministry of Defence. That time Defence Minister, Mr. Menon, it was his idea. He started this.
And every state has a...
Yes, every state. And there is a competitive examination which happens.
As a 10-year-old.
Yes. And you have to go through that competitive examination. You have to qualify. There is a medical test. You have to be in the merit. And then your education is subsidized. Because you may not be able to afford that kind of education. So the government put subsidy on your education.
And if you get into Sainik School, are you expected to join the defense forces?
They prepare you for the National Defense Academy, Khadakwasla. And if you are lucky, you get through. Otherwise, after your higher secondary in those days, you would go into, like any other child, into college, anywhere.
Oh, so there is no force to go into the National Defense?
It's not compulsory, but every child wanted to join the military. There was a lot of motivation. And you would work so hard to join the National Defense Academy, Khadakwasla. And I would say the success rate was just about 10%. I mean, not everybody was getting through.
From the Sainik School?
Yes, Sainik School.
And so what is, for a 10 or 12-year-old, what would have been the difference between a regular school and a Sainik School?
It's a world of a difference.
Okay.
I mean, firstly, you are doing at an age of, I would say 10 years, starting your day with a physical training class at morning 5:30 to 6, every day. And you continue your routine till late in the night, 10:30. So going through a very rigorous kind of a training schedule. It is not only studies, it is sports, it's physical training. It's kind of I would say, that would make that child, to be honest, I lost my childhood. I tell everybody that I lost my childhood because, you see, the day you join that hostel, you have to manage everything. Manage your day, manage your routine. Things like, I would still remember giving your clothes to the dhobi, you have to put some mark so that there is some kind of identification when the clothes will come back to you.
Yeah.
So you learn to manage life. Management comes too early to you. And it is, I would say, I'm grateful that I went through all that. You may have lost your childhood, but you became self-dependent very early in life.
In a sense, and I think you've said this as well, like the more you sweat in peace, then the less you bleed in war. So you go through school, you go through the National Defense Academy. Any doubts at that point? Any doubts in school? Any doubts in the academy? Because I think, sir, it's very interesting, at least as a civilian, even nationalism and patriotism comes in ebbs and flows. Often you want to be friends with everybody and when incidents happen, then your patriotism gets up and you want to fight and things of that nature. So, 71 happens, 62 happens, and then we have a relatively lull period as you are going through academy. So any difference in change or any change in your thoughts during that schooling period or in the defense academy?
Like firstly, like you said, now that spirit, that nationalism or national spirit gets imbibed in you very early. You get that kind of a spirit. You are doing your academics, yes. Like in NDA, we are doing our graduation, and you get a degree from Jawaharlal Nehru University. That is, your academics is complete. But besides that, you are doing your military part of training. You're doing your firing. You're doing everything what a soldier is supposed to be doing. So that gets in that confidence in you. And this training is very hard. Hard when I say very rigorous. That gives you that self-confidence, the self-belief in you that you can do anything. I mean, nothing is more challenging than to go through a routine at National Defence Academy, Khadakwasla. And the best part is that when, like, I remember incidents like you go for a riding class in the morning, and somehow that horse, the horse makes you fall down, and the horse is into the jungle. And then the ustad is telling you, go search for your horse. You go and look for your horse, where is it? And you learn to manage. You learn to manage life. You go through such kind of, I would say, incident every day as a routine. And every senior, when you go to him with a problem, he will never give a solution. He will just tell you, go and manage. That is a very, I would say, one statement which gets you each day you hear, and you start learning to manage yourself. Because every senior would only tell you, go and manage. You report to him, you lost your bicycle. He'll say, you go and manage. I mean, there is nothing. He will tell you how to do it. You learn how to do it. In life, what happens, that we, to children, we keep telling them how to do it. And that is how they don't grow. But if somebody kind of tells you, this is what you have to do. How you have to do is, you have to find your own space. Because doing one thing is 100 ways of doing it. Let a child apply. Let a child learn how to do things. That is something which makes you grow in life.
And sir, when you have that opportunity at your training and then you get posted, did you feel you were well prepared? So, was it an easy transition from Sainik School to the Defence Academy to your first post? And of course, you have done various things after your first posting. But what is that first year like or first month like? What are the shocks to the system?
You see, I thought that I was well prepared. But moment you actually join the military, you realize that you're starting again, all over again.
Sir, where was your first post, sir?
I got commissioned in 1984, and it's a new military cantonment starting, military station starting at Hisar, that is Haryana.
Okay.
So, like you owning a room in NDA, you are owner of one room to yourself.
Okay.
And when you go to a unit as an officer, you are sharing one Basha kind of one, I would say, very average Basha room between 6 officers. And room is not the problem. Issue is one toilet. And you go for PT in the morning at 5:30. So what time it starts? Maybe junior most, it would start at 2 in the morning. So things like that. So I'm just giving it in the lighter way. But what I'm trying to say is, military, you come across such interesting postings every time.
Dwell on that for a second. That impact of, or the lack of comfort that is available to you, is that a necessity?
Please, because you see, firstly, we normally in officers mess, we wind up the dinner by say 11:30, 12. You come to your room. By the time you go to sleep, it is almost 12:30. At 2 o'clock, you have to be up and about, starting the day. So, I mean, this is, initially I thought, this is the hardship, but no, it is preparing you for war-like situations. In peace, every difficult situation you go through. Like you told me that I have gone through very interesting I would say, experiences in life. But all this is preparing you. I mean, these are not hardships. They are making you battle-hardened. When you're sleeping for one to half an hour every night, I mean, you are able to sustain. You are able to tell yourself, yeah, it's okay. I will handle it. Nothing is difficult. And it is day in and day out. It is not one day. So, this is all what you experience in life actually prepares you for those challenges, which actually when I faced,
Yes.
I remember all this, that when you could go through all that, yeah, this is nothing. You can do anything.
So, sir, you were in various different battlefields. Can we start, I think, with the one in Kargil?
Okay.
So, when you were there,
Yeah.
what was it like from your vantage point or from where you were? Because I think all of us, I was young, of course, but we all read it in the papers or in the news. But very difficult to understand what it was like at the sort of in the eye of the battle.
You see, what I learned in Kargil is something which I am grateful, because I learned that as a soldier, as an officer, you have to hit the enemy where it hurts him. Like, you see, I was deployed as a operations officer. We call him brigade major at Tangdar.
Okay.
Tangdar is on the line of control.
Okay.
And Tangdar is one place which is like a bowl, and the hills are surrounding you all over. On those hills were the Pakistanis. And they would kind of bombard you day in and day out. The quantum of enemy shelling coming on to you was, I mean, it is nobody's imagination that how much of tonnage of this explosives were coming on to us. The ammunition dump was blasting and things like that. That is when it comes to you that, yeah, I go to stop all this. How do I do it? Let me target something which will hurt them. And then you request for 2 Bofors guns, only 2. First time Bofors guns are moved into Tangdar, and we start firing at Muzaffarabad. From Tangdar, Muzaffarabad is in range.
Okay.
And interestingly, nobody knew it. Only the brigade major had to calculate and find out and see the range. Yes, we can target Muzaffarabad from Tangdar. And we did it. Moment we did it, they raised their hands. The Pakistanis would complain that you are targeting Muzaffarabad. I said, you stop all this. So, what I'm trying to say is that what I learned from Kargil is that it's a mind game.
So, I'll just request you for a little more detail, because I was not aware of that. So, in many ways, that strategy, is that the responsibility of the people on the ground? How does the decision making around that strategy work? So you said you were brigade commander. So is that your responsibility? Does it go up the chain of command? What is the autonomy provided in those situations?
It goes up the chain. In army, it's a vertical hierarchy.
Correct.
Whatever you do, like I can't move Bofors guns on my own. I have to make a request to my higher headquarters. I was controlling the operations on ground as a brigade major. But larger issue I'm trying to raise is there are 2 ways of fighting. One is a attrition battle. Like this game of chess.
Yes.
What is here? It's a attrition battle. You are killing each other's soldiers. But the better than chess is a Chinese game they play, the Chinese poker.
Yes.
It's a mind game where you don't believe in attrition, you believe in maneuver.
Got it.
And maneuveristic is a man who will target the mind. How do I target enemy's mind? You can give him body blows like a boxer. There are 2 boxers fighting. And attrition man would put body blows, but a better boxer would give a knockout punch and call it off. So that knockout punch is something you have to give it into enemy's mind. That is maneuver and maneuveristic approach. And that is the ultimate, I would say, in any battle. I mean, if you can target enemy's mind, like I will give example of this Pahalgam, what has happened. Now we have many options available in front of us. One is to counter and go for attrition battle. You again go and fight the enemy in its own way and believe in giving body blow. But the second one is to strike his mind.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? What government is doing right now,
Yeah.
by stopping that Indus water, even putting economic blockade around Pakistan, that you gradually target in a manner that he kind of gives up rather than fighting a battle of attrition.
And in many ways, sir, we're, as a country, I think we're so far ahead that I don't think the battle of attrition, I think it's a negative for us.
Yes. And we shouldn't, he wants us to get into that battle. You see, never in a militancy, he was crossing, Pakistan was crossing the threshold level. They were within a threshold level. But last couple of years, what is he doing?
They're crossing it.
Why? Because he wants you to get into that attrition battle.
To the extent, so that's what, in a sense, what does the enemy want you to do, and can you avoid it?
Yes. And you got to understand that game. And it could be a well-planned game wherein they want to initiate this attrition battle. Even later, China could join in from the northern frontier. So you don't fall into all that trap. But you still have to counter, and we should. There are other ways of doing it. You target the mind. You annihilate the enemy. You make sure that in the world, an impression is created that Pakistan is declared a terrorist state. You make sure that country crumbles in times to come. And I think that is a larger aim rather than to get into the battle of attrition.
And in many ways, sir, it's equally important that our country doesn't.
Yes.
Right? Because of the nature of our economy, the trajectory of the country. I think it's equally important as much as offense is important. I think protection of what we have, because we have created, I think, over the last 30, 40 years, a advancing country.
Yes, we are at a trajectory now. Now from there to come back.
Yeah, I think we are, far ahead of most of our neighbors.
Still, we have to take care of it, and we should.
Correct.
There are better ways of doing it.
But sir, again, very interesting, because, that battlefield, I know you've done, because we've just discussed Kargil, but you've done some intra-India sort of civilian battlefields as well. But that is a rare battlefield where, I've always found, again, from the outside in, it's very difficult to figure foe and friend, or sort of ally and enemy. Is there a specific methodology, or is that something that the army finds difficult as well in that specific battlefield? How do you, who's your friend, who's your ally, who's a citizen, who's not a citizen, who's a citizen who cares? How do you go about that in that kind of battlefield?
It is difficult, I would say, because a military man, firstly, has to, I would say, depending on the situation, you have to completely transform yourself. Many times I have done it, that you have to, from a soldier, you have to become a diplomat. And you have to look at, I would say, the ground situation in a manner. I'm specifically talking about peacekeeping assignment where I had gone. That it shifted you from a soldier to a diplomat because you wanted to handle that situation. Maybe you are in a peace assignment. Can you handle it without fighting? I mean, there are situations which will come in your life where every situation you have to adapt to that situation. I'm sure you are trying to hint at Operation Ram Rahim, I suppose.
So I think there was 3 that I read. I think the operation to clear the compound.
Yes.
I think there was an agitation.
Yes.
And so, just as what is going on in your mind? Let's say when you talk about
the Ram
Rahim compound.
I was more of a human. I mean, there was a battle between a soldier and a human, and I can tell you that in this battle, the human quality of yours, they won over the soldier, because this Dera Sacha Sauda at Sirsa had to be vacated, and army was called. We had surrounded that complete Dera, and there were people with weapons inside, and they were not vacating that Dera, and task given to me was to vacate the Dera. One way was to go ahead and carry on with the military operation, attack that Dera and make sure that you vacate it as early as possible. The second option with me was to go for that humanistic approach, that let me try out if these people from inside that Dera, they walk out, they surrender, their own people. Maybe they are scared, maybe they are misguided, maybe they are at the moment into those emotions because their guru has been arrested. Ram Rahim was arrested. So they were agitating. So that's how I said that human in me ensured that I did not have blood on my hands. In that particular operation, we sent a delegation inside of senior citizens of Sirsa to go inside and tell those people that army has surrounded you. You have no option. They will attack, you will die. Why don't you come out? Why don't you lay down weapons? And this laying down weapons, Operation Khukri, where I was being cordoned, here I was doing the cordon. So that was something which I would always relate to Operation Khukri because I had experienced being inside. And here I was outside.
So, but when you are outside, how do you decide when to be human and when to be a soldier?
Very difficult. I mean, every minute, you have that kind of a, I would say, contradiction within you as a soldier. At times you feel, oh, I am a soldier, I have to go ahead, do my task, irrespective of whatever is in front of me. The task given to me, I am a task-oriented army. That is supreme. But at the same time, that the human in you says, yeah, you do your task all right. But can you do it some other way?
But sir, if push came to shove, would the task always win over the human for an army, for a soldier?
Task always is supreme. But luckily for me, in this case, I told myself that task given to me to vacate the Dera.
Okay.
There is no time specific given that you have to vacate it earliest or maybe tomorrow. I said, let me do it. And let me not connect it. But what happened in Operation Blue Star? They vacated Golden Temple.
Yeah.
But that was a different way of doing it. I don't kind of question that. That was done in a military operation. What I did was more of a human, and we did it without losing a single life. We vacated the Dera. We ensured everybody from inside had to surrender, and they came out. So this is up to you. It's an individual, I would say, thought process, individual quality, how you go and handle that situation. But that clash, you are right, between soldier and a human, it continues.
And there's another interesting thing that you said, sir, and I have seen other interviews where, both in Kukri and we'll get to Kukri and in this specific example, I think you're very proud that no human life was lost.
Yes.
How do we generate that value for human life? So in so many times we see in war, we're seeing Russia, Ukraine, or Gaza, or any of these wars, without getting into sort of the right or wrong, because in many ways that's complicated. It's always complicated. But human life is human life. How do we create that? How have you created for yourself that respect for human life, that need? Is it something that can be taught? Is it something that can be trained? Is it natural?
It is experienced. And I'm being very honest with you, I was carrying a baggage. You see, I went to Sierra Leone, and that was in the year of 1999-2000. And I was carrying that baggage of human life. As you read it, I tried peace. Ultimately, we had to fight our way back. There were a lot of casualties. There were a lot of civilians also who had died in that operation. I always kept telling them every day that not a single life will be lost, and I, as the Calhoun military contingent, will ensure that. But I tried, and somehow that rebel commander, he did not understand. He thought, oh, my every trial for peace, he misunderstood for being a weakness. So ultimately, we had to do fighting breakout. We caused a lot of casualties. Also to the RUF, that is all right, but to the civilians also. So that baggage was there with me. So when Operation Ram Rahim happened in 2017, that baggage at the back of your mind
Is
that there can I now at least do something to make sure that human lives are not lost. So that experience helped me to ensure that Ram Rahim operation was done without losing a single life.
And sir, in your expertise or in your experience, for a officer of any of the defense forces, is that respect for life critical?
Yes, it is. And I'm proud to say that every officer has that. But at times you get into a situation where you can't help it. Otherwise, respect of human life is there in every soldier. I mean, that is, I would say every soldier is more spiritual, more religious than anybody else in this world. And nobody believes this. Every time we walk into the battle,
Correct.
we always have that faith on God and that belief on the Almighty that we will do our best. And the respect for human life is tremendous in every soldier, every officer.
And sir, the memories of your past, in this case, they were of a help, as you said, the baggage. Do we discuss for Indian soldiers enough the mental effects of going to war? Do we have enough help for our soldiers, for our officers, on the constant impact, the constant alertness that we have to go through? Do you think that enough is being done in those fields? So, I very rarely hear about PTSD or any of those things that from an Indian perspective, from an Indian context. So in your mind, you've done UN peacekeeping missions, you've met people from different armies. Do you think that's something that maybe we should also focus on?
Yes, we need to. And this is one aspect which actually over the years one goes through the military, and the kind of, I would say, experience you get through every posting, every assignment, especially fighting in Kashmir, fighting in Northeast, and all these are actually developing you as an officer, as an individual. But definitely there is a lot of scope to improve this kind. And another issue which I would mention is diplomacy. We as soldiers lack diplomacy, honestly. I learned it on ground. When I went into UN assignment, I learned diplomacy on ground. But that is one grey area, or I would say, not a weakness, but something we have to improve upon. That as a soldier, I got to be diplomatic in various situations, like UN peacekeeping, like even fighting, I would say, in insurgency. I mean, you many times have to handle situations, but we are more soldiers, less diplomats. And now I say, in hindsight, when I look at my own life, I feel, it is one aspect of a soldier, diplomacy. You got to. I mean, you can't say that you will always be a diplomat, but there are situations where you have to handle it very critically.
So, sir, in your situation, one of the most famous ones, which is, Operation Khukri, why did India, or why would an Indian regiment be needed by the United Nations, in this case, in a country like Sierra Leone? For someone like us, how does that process work? How does someone get appointed to lead that? It is something you chose to do? Was it an order? What is that process like?
Firstly, very briefly, let me share with you, Sierra Leone was a British colony till 1961, as late as 1961. When the Britishers left, the local currency, Leone, of Sierra Leone was equal to $1. That was the prosperity in Sierra Leone when Britishers left in 61. Thereafter, there was complete chaos. They were fighting. There was no order. And it's a civil war which continued for 10 years. And in those 10 years, I would say one particular outfit, Revolutionary United Front, they had ruled kind of terror in that country. They would give routine punishment. They would ask, do you want long sleeves or half sleeves? You understood that?
Nice, sir.
It's a punishment he wants to give.
Okay.
So he's asking you want to cut your hand from here or here? What do you want? You want a long sleeve?
For any, there's a routine punishment.
Routine punishment for small little mistakes by any citizen of that country. They would give punishment like this and ask that fellow, you want long sleeves or half sleeves? If he says, I want long sleeves, they will cut his hand from here. Half sleeves means they would cut it from here. There was a terror RUF had created in Sierra Leone. And when we went there, almost 20% population did not have their hands or their legs. That was the thing.
20%
of the population.
And this is, so when did you go there?
We went in 1999.
So within 30 years of their independence.
Yes. And why did we go there? Because the militant organization RUF agreed to lay down weapons.
Okay.
But they said we will lay down weapons to a neutral force. We will not lay down weapons to the Sierra Leone army, which we are fighting. And incidentally, I would say Sierra Leone happens to be the richest country in the world because of diamonds. If you see that movie, Blood Diamonds.
Yes.
So the best of diamonds were traveling from Sierra Leone to the Western countries. In return, what was coming was weapons, drugs. It was a nexus of, I would say, narcotics being supplied, weapons being supplied to RUF by vested interests. And that country has completely crumbled. That is when we went there. And this UN resolution was passed that we need to send a UN assignment which primarily comprised of Indian forces, but from other countries too. There were various other countries part of this contingent. In this kind of situation, we went in there.
So did you have to go in there? Was it an order or was it something you decided?
In my case, I would say it immediately happened post-Kargil.
Okay.
I had stayed away from my family for 3 years. I was there in Kashmir. Moment I stepped out of Kashmir, I got this posting. So personally, we had to give a choice. Personally, I had to give a choice.
Okay.
If I had said no, then some other officer would have gone. That is when my wife told me, you are going. It's a national duty. I will take care of the family, you go. Because you can't say no to an order in the military. So it was a personal choice for me. But as a contingent, India had to go because India has been representing in all the UN assignments. Wherever there have been a UN force, Indian contingent is almost part of every contingent. So that definitely India would have never said no. We wanted to be there. And more than order, it's I would say, experience one would like to go through.
So when you go to do UN peacekeeping missions, and the title is peacekeeping.
Yeah.
And especially if you go directly from Kargil, is there a change in mindset that you have to create for yourself or for your regiment?
Complete change.
So how would you prepare yourself for that?
You see, it takes time. Moment you land up in UN, you realize very first day, it's not the same environment I've been working in Kashmir or anywhere else in the country. Now it is more of a peacekeeping assignment where you are dealing with situations where you got to be, I would say, diplomat every day, every minute you are handling various parties. You see, in any civil war, there are too many groups fighting. The first requirement for you is to be neutral. Not only to be neutral, you have to apparently look more neutral than anybody else. Neutrality is the backbone of your UN peacekeeping. And you got to make sure that you are not seen as a person favoring any of these parties who are fighting. Then only they will respond to you as a peacekeeper. And secondly, in peacekeeping, there are two types of assignments, peacekeeping and peacemaking. Peacekeeping is where the peace is there, generally. Peacemaking is you have to fight to create peace. That is more challenging. That you have to, those parties, you become one more party to fight them.
And sir, if you're not representing your country, if you are not fighting for India, and you are trying to keep peace between two parties, maybe you have no interest in or no, love for, are you able to generate that same fearlessness? Are you able to generate that same love? Are you able to generate the same motivation?
You know what is the motivation? When you go for a peacekeeping assignment, firstly, they put a national tricolor here. You don't wear your tricolor in Indian uniform.
Okay.
But the moment you go into a UN assignment, on a peacekeeping assignment, the best thing that happens that you get a tricolor here, put on your uniform. And India is written here. That India written and that Tiranga on your chest gives you that kind of motivation that you are an ambassador of your country. You have to do your best. So whosoever has designed this policy, I think I'm really, really impressed that this uniform now becomes the national uniform. And that tricolor will every time remind you that you have to be at your best. And in fact, I would say I was more motivated because I'm carrying that flag on my chest.
What happened, sir, in Operation Khukri? You go for peace, you go under UN auspices. I'm assuming a lot of things you assume it's a easy. In your mind, did you assume it will be an easier mission, or did you think it will be like Kargil? Were you aware that something is off?
We actually went thinking to be an easier mission because Lome peace agreement had happened. We were to go there and they were to lay down weapons. That was all. But we were told that we have to go there to ensure that RUF lays down weapons in front of the UN peacekeeping force. And as simple as that.
So when you say lay down weapons,
yes,
it just means they physically lay down the weapons and you collect them?
Yes, collect them and then you demobilize them from a militant organization to back integrate with the civil society.
Okay.
So there are the main tasks given to us. But you see, I would say many times I have spoken. I always say that this particular assignment, what I have gone through with my company in Sierra Leone, is actually, it was like a battlefield where so many countries were representing. There were almost 16 or 17 countries being part of that UN force. And India got gold medal. Like in sports, somebody comes with a gold medal. We regard so much and we should. But in this case, it was something like in an international environment and with so many countries representing, where every country ultimately laid down weapons to the militants. Indian soldiers stood his ground. He said, no, I worship my weapon. मैं अपने हथियार की पूजा करता हूँ, मेरा भगवान है. I can't lay down weapons. You stood your ground. And unfortunately, it is not known to armed public in India that it was a gold medal for India in an international battlefield where all other countries surrendered to the militants. And only India, we stood our ground and we said, no, we will not. And ultimately we fought our way back. We came back with honor, with dignity. So I, as an ambassador of Operation Khukri, talk about it wherever, whatever forum I go. Every Indian must be proud, must know what happened in Sierra Leone. This book, you know why I, with my daughter, wrote this book? Because after this operation, Britishers had put their stamp on Operation Khukri.
Okay.
Because in those days, Indian media did not have the reach to reach Sierra Leone. BBC was time and again showing Operation Khukri as a British operation. Because there were 2 Chinook helicopters of British Army which participated in this operation. So they kept claiming Operation Khukri as the biggest success story and called it as a British operation. That is, it was hurting me. Every day it was hurting me. Yeah, we have gone through so much. 75 days without food, surrounded by the militaries.
I think, sir, for people who haven't had the opportunity yet to maybe read the book or know about Operation Khukri, the 75 days, can you explain day one, what happened?
Okay, it started actually on 2nd of May 2000 was the day when it started.
What was day one like?
You see, it actually happened on 1st of May 2000 and an incident between, I would say, I think it was Ghanaian army and the RUF, that is the militant organization. There was a fight and Ghanaian army, they opened fire in which a lot of, I think 10 to 12 RUF soldiers, they lost their lives. And we were deployed in different area. We were at Calahon.
So then Ghanaian army was representing UN as well?
Yes.
So are you allowed to open fire as a...
You definitely. I mean, in self-defense, nobody can stop you.
Okay.
Whatever situation it is, that if you feel it is your self-defense involved, you can open fire. So this incident happened in McKinney and Mukbraka. We were at Calahon. We were not aware of this incident, unfortunately. And RUF called me for a meeting the next day morning, that we want to have a meeting to discuss the modalities of laying down weapons. I was waiting for it. I was so happy that they're calling me for a meeting to lay down weapons. I went for that meeting. And will you believe it? When I was sitting in that meeting hall, there were steel gates and suddenly, bang, bang, the entire doors were closed. And a couple of these soldiers came and they stood with the weapons on top of me. I was captured. As a company commander, as the senior most officer at Calahon, I was captured by RUF.
So do you have any when you went in, was there a possibility in your mind?
No, I was going every meeting like this. It was a routine meeting. We had number of these meetings earlier.
Okay.
I thought it was one of those meetings. And can you imagine that as a company commander, when you get captured and you are taken as a hostage? I was made a hostage in that situation that very first day. It started from there. They carried me to the headquarters. The same vehicle where I was sitting in the front, as a commander, now I was sitting behind with a couple of these RAF soldiers surrounding me. And I was like I would not call it, but as good as a prisoner of war. They took me to the headquarters. And when I was given this treatment, they surrounded my company simultaneously. RAF later on, they shared with me that they have a tactics of separating the commander from the troops.
Okay.
It's a military tactics. Whenever they go for an operation like this, they first separate the commander from the
Troops.
So they trapped me into that meeting and they captured me. And when I was a hostage,
Sir, you went alone to these meetings?
I had one more officer with me. I had a couple of these soldiers also with me. Everybody was
So they took
everybody,
Okay.
including the military observers. They were from various other countries, including even a Pakistani officer was there. A British officer was there. They all were captured. We all were taken to their headquarters. And for 1 week, I have stayed like a hostage in their camp. I tried to negotiate, talk to the military commander, Colonel Martin, who was a brigade commander, who was a good friend of mine. But they said Martin is not available. You can't meet him. And when you get into a situation like this, the world has come to an end. And what else?
Yeah, I was going to say, sir, when you are the commander, you've just come out of Kargil, that's a success for the country, it's a success for the army. You go for a peacekeeping mission. I think there must be a certain confidence. Does that break very quickly?
It broke. That's what I'm saying. Life was completely shattered. And Zindagi mein bhi yahi hota hai. When everything is gone, you have no other way but to bounce back. And I will now share with you how did I bounce back.
Sure.
When everything is lost, as a military commander, when you are humiliated like this, you are sort of captured and taken away from your company, what worse can happen to anybody in uniform? This is the worst situation.
Did you think that were you in a way completely just worried about the situation, or did you think that from a life standpoint this could be the end? Was there a danger in that context? Did you have any idea how these people behaved or what they did?
Actually, you see, there was no fear of death, to be honest.
Okay.
But it was more of a disgrace that as a company commander, you have been given a treatment and you have been trapped into, captured by the enemy. You don't know what is happening in your company. I was kind of told by them only that they are going to now put that siege and make sure that Indian troops are made to lay down weapons to them. So you are absolutely, I would say, you are in a situation ki sab kuch khatam.
Ji.
And that is when, you see, I recollected what I have been talking all this while, that now you have to strike the mind. There is no time to fight the attrition. Now is to strike the enemy's mind. And that is something which, it's a very interesting thing. Every morning, I was going to the jungle, to the bush, the morning call. And these people would come with guns, and I am sitting in a bush, and you can well imagine, their weapons pointing at you. I was not comfortable. So next day morning, I got up. I said, where are my bodyguards? Come, let's go. They got annoyed with that word bodyguard. They got annoyed. We are not your bodyguard, Major. We are soldiers. I said, no, you are guarding me every day. You come with me. We'll go to the bush. They refused to come. Just because of that one word,
Okay.
Bodyguard. And it struck me, it's so easy to play with their mind. It is not difficult. Are you understanding?
Yes.
that gave me the kind of confidence that I think I can handle them. That one incident I have also written in the book transformed my thought process.
And who were these people, sir, that you
They were
dealing with?
RUF soldiers, the
Okay.
Revolutionary United Front soldiers.
They were trained soldiers or?
It's a parallel army.
Okay.
RUF was like a parallel army in Sierra Leone.
And where were their weapons coming from?
They were controlling 70% of Sierra Leone.
So they were bigger than the...
Yes.
Okay.
And they were guarding the border post.
Okay.
And as I said, diamonds were being controlled by them. So they were smuggling diamonds.
And that's how they were
weapons were coming and trucks were coming. So what I'm trying to say is that is when I got that entire idea of striking the mind. And I called for a meeting with their political head. RUF had two parallel wings.
Okay.
The military wing and the political wing. Before this incident happened, we were doing a very good job in the ground. We were kind of distributing rations, medicines to the local people. The Papa Gima was the political head. They used to call him Papa Gima of Callejon. He was very fond of me.
Okay.
And I said, I want to meet Papa Gima. Firstly, they told me he is not available. Luckily for me, I could get a meeting with Papa Gima in Callejon. And I could sort of tell him that keeping me there is more dangerous than in the company. Because by then, I feel with great pride that most soldiers refuse to lay down weapons.
Even without you?
Yes. Even they were told, we will kill your company commander. They said, no, we are not laying down weapons. So that gave strength to me. That demoralized the RUF.
So how many days were you?
1 week.
So for 1 week, then finally they let you meet Mr. Papa Gima.
Papa Gima. And they by then had realized that Indian troops will not lay down weapons. All other peacekeepers had laid down weapons.
So we were the only army?
Yes.
That did not lay down the weapons?
Yes, only army. And that is when I could sort of convince Papa Gima to get me back to the company. And more than my convincing power, it was the good we had done to Callejon and the local people. The local people came to our support. They were almost trying to fight RUF that Major Punia has to be released.
Okay.
So he's done good to us. He has given us food, rations, he has given us medicines. And moreover, RUF was on a back foot. Because what they thought they would be able to disarm the Indian company, they did not. They did not succeed. So that is when I would say I bounced back and I came back to the company by whatever mind game I could do, whatever diplomacy I could do, I could come back. And that is when we started that routine.
So, sir, this is day 7, sir.
Yeah.
And it's 75 days.
A long day, long
Yes,
time.
and you know, as we all know, some days are longer than other days.
Yes.
How do you know, it's a 33
33 years.
233 men. Were you very sure how to deal with this situation, or were you worried
I was
on the first day back?
I was not sure. I was learning every day. Every minute, in fact, I was learning. And I did not believe in God so much till then. But this situation reinforced my belief in God because I was getting some kind of a guidance from top. What to do now, what to do next. Every day was different. Every day was unique. I mean, you can well understand, after I was released, I ensured that I went out every day to meet Papa Gima and the local people. I did not restrict myself into that compound of the military.
So, were you not worried?
No.
That if I go out every day, they can do something else or they
No.
can take us back?
I said, I have come back from a situation where they had captured me. Whatever it is, I have got released, but ultimately, they have released me. If they catch me again, they will catch me. But let me not break this link between RUF and my own company. I should know what is happening outside. In military, intelligence is very important. If I had not moved out thereafter, probably they would have lost that confidence on me. But since I was moving out every day, meeting everybody, and kind of reinforcing that I am a peacekeeper still, Despite the situation, I'm still a
So
peacekeeper.
you are also the leader of 233 men.
Yes, I was doing both the jobs. I was wearing two hats. Two hats means hat of a soldier, hat of a diplomat. In daytime, I was going out to kind of trying to find out a way out. And believe me, I did not want to have bloodshed. We were on a peacekeeping assignment. In a meeting, I offered to Papagima and military commander of RUF, Colonel Martin, I am prepared to go back with my weapon, leave everything behind. You keep my rations, you keep my tentage, keep my personal luggage, everything I will leave behind, including my wife's photograph I will leave behind if you want. But let me go with my God. My weapon is my God. That is what one thing was stuck. Because all other peacekeepers from all other countries had laid down weapons. They said, no, orders are that you will also go the same way, the way other peacekeepers have gone. I said, I am not going.
So why is that? What is the for an army person? And sir, I will tell you, because we are all not army people. And so we would say, look, live to fight another day. Why not, if they're allowing people to go, if other armies have not gone, why not leave your arms and leave?
Actually, we actually worship on Dera. We worship our weapons. It is done still as a routine. Every Dashera, we worship our personal weapon. And the kind of status Indian Army gives to its weapon is not lesser than God. There were other armies, maybe they had a different opinion. But in our case, and imagine we had gone there to ensure that the militants laid down weapons to me.
Weapons, yeah.
And now I am laying down weapons. And personally, if I had ordered, I was allowed. There were orders from headquarters and everywhere that if I feel on ground, laying down weapons is the best way, I can still go ahead in that situation. But personally, as a company commander, do you think I would have done my service after that? If I had laid down weapons, my soldiers would have said ki company commander ne bola and we have done it. But what would I have done personally as a company commander? I couldn't have worn my uniform thereafter. It was hurting. I couldn't have done it.
So then in that scenario, it's almost impossible for 233 people to think alike.
Yes.
How did you manage that? How do you manage 70 days? How do you manage the morale of the company? How do you take care of your own people?
Firstly, it was a big challenge to start with. Because initially when I got back to the company, I could sense that kind of stress. The stress level was too high. It was so high that we had limited rations, dal chawal, we were cooking once a day. Still people were not eating it because the stress level was so high that they lost their appetite. That is when I said, yeah, I need to make sure that we first break the stress in the unit.
Right.
So that is when I was telling you, somebody from top was giving the idea. I said, let me start with a routine. Can you believe it? In an area of 100 meters by 100 meters, surrounded by the militants, you are doing morning PT. You are doing your morning routine and you are doing your weapon training. You are having a routine every day.
So was that instinct or was that something you had studied somewhere?
I will call it more of instinct, less than study. Study I did, but later on. Later on, once I got back, I did a defense management course in Hyderabad, Secunderabad. There I learned this. But study was much later. It was more of an instinct and somebody from top guiding you. So that routine, moment we started, that stress level started coming down because people were now too busy in that routine. And every night we would be in stand to. Stand to means you are waiting to. For the enemy, if he attacks, you are prepared. You are into a stand to full night. You know if he is going to attack, he is going to attack you at night. And in daytime, you are kind of doing your own routine, and that is first thing which I could do and arrest the stress level which was there.
So any time in those 75 days you felt that you made the wrong decision?
Honestly, I never felt that. I made a lot of wrong decisions. They all succeeded. I was to cover it a little later. But you see, finally, when it came to, after having tried all these peacekeeping meetings, finally we had 3 options to make. And 3 options included one going to Guinea, one going to Liberia, and one fighting your way back almost 70 kilometers to come back to Dara. Most difficult, most challenging option. We as officers, every day we discuss, it is easier to go to Guinea, which is say 5-6 kilometers. Easier to go to Liberia, which is another 8-10 kilometers. Most difficult option was the 70 kilometers. But somehow, I don't know what happened, I started, just before the operation, I started, I would say, telling everybody that we will go to Daru. Daru means 70 kilometers of fighting and sorting out the RUF. Nobody believed me. My own officers would kind of say, what is wrong with the company commander? What language is he talking? Honestly, it was a wrong decision because that was it was a suicidal kind of a mission to fight entire RUF all your way through the bush, 70 kilometers, and then coming to Daru. So, if you see, honestly, very wrong decision, but that soldier in you, because you were humiliated so much over 75 days, now you wanted to sort out the entire RUF. Rather than going to Guinea or Liberia, would have been running away.
Right.
This was fighting the entire RUF and coming back with real honor, real dignity. So this is something which, as you said, wrong decision. Everybody thought I was making a wrong decision. But somebody from top had that, created the belief in me, will come out with honor. Now that we have been, a soldier has been humiliated so much, let me now take that revenge. Let me now make sure that, and honestly, this operation created peace in Sierra Leone. Today, Sierra Leone is an absolutely peaceful country because after this fight, RUF came to negotiation. They came to the table.
So what was the fight like? How did you get out?
We had this Operation Khukri, which actually was more of a fighting breakout from our side and a link-up force coming from the other side.
Okay.
And we had to link up en route halfway, and then together we were to come back. So this was one international operation which included helicopters, which included international army, not only Indian. I said 2 helicopters of British Army. There were a couple of these military observers stuck with us. They were all taken out in those helicopters.
Sir, and when you do back to back, which I still find fascinating, you go back to back from Kashmir, sort of Kargil, to Sierra Leone. Is that a benefit, or are you, do you feel that now, anything can be conquered, or is it actually a challenge because very different terrains, very different type of army? So is that something that you as a commanding officer felt that, doesn't matter? Or was it something that you were strategically trying to find different methods of so how much strategy was involved, sir, in that breakout of 70 kilometers? How much was mapped?
Actually, I would say before the operation, the strategic thinking was involved in 75 days of diplomacy and trying to convince them and all that, which I did not succeed. But I tried everything possible to make sure that we don't have bloodshed. We don't have to fight. I mean, if we can find a solution. In that duration, I met the highest military commander of RUF, General Issa, who was a general. And General Issa had not met anybody, not even the force commander of the UN. Somehow he agreed to meet me at Calahon, where we were stuck. And this day when I was given a message that General Issa is in town and he is ready to meet you, I had asked for this meeting. That is the day when I was told by everybody that it's a trap, they will catch you again. Because you see, the tension was so high, but I said, no, I am going for the meeting. I have called for the meeting. If they capture me, if they catch me, it's all right. But I am going ahead to try one last time. If I am able to, every time I told Martin that let us go with the weapons, he told me that General Issa has to decide. He's the boss. And here General Issa was in town. I had one opportunity to maybe convince General Issa. So despite my entire company, my officers, I would say advising me not to go ahead because they thought this was another trap to capture me again. But I feel very happy that I give it a last chance. I went out. And when I went out, the same town square hall where I was captured the last time. I had that memory experience. Same hall, the meeting was there. General Issa was sitting on top with his military.
So did you, in your mind, sir, did you think it was an honest negotiation or did you think you would be captured?
I had full confidence on myself. I will put my best
Foot forward.
And let me see what he decides. So when I walked in, and there was slight kind of a, I would not call it fear, but slight kind of an apprehension that they are going to catch me again. But I said no. Even if they catch me, it's all right. I will not have that regret that I did not give that last chance to peace before we went for the operation. Moment I stepped in, I recollect calling General Issa as sir. I said, sir, I am here as a peacekeeper. I am here as... They knew English because of the British colony.
Sure.
So I said, sir, I am here as a peacekeeper trying to request you that I want to go back with my gods in my hand. I will leave everything behind. Same thing what I was telling Martin. And I also told him, I recollect, that as a peacekeeper, I don't want to fight. I am a soldier. I can fight, but I still want to give peace a chance. And therefore, I have requested for meeting with you. And it is my sincere request to you to allow us to go back to a country with a weapon. We will go back. We are prepared to leave everything behind. He thought for a minute. When you are thinking, I thought maybe I have struck the chord and maybe he will understand. After 1 minute of silence, he simply said, Major, you will go the same way, the way other peacekeepers have gone. That means you have to lay down weapons. I understood. Nothing is going to work out. And I thought before he orders my capture, let me quickly, I thanked him and I walked out. And my steps were now faster because I wanted to get back to the camp. And the moment I got back to the camp, he started preparing for the operation. I said, peace is over. That hat of a diplomat is out. Now, hat of a soldier is there only. And we have to fight. And this operation, as you asked me, I think is the most successful operation in the UN history.
Oh.
I mean,
okay.
There is no operation which has happened in such, I would say, a kind of smooth, very smooth operation, where helicopters were involved and we were doing, I would say, fighting breakout, and we gave surprise to the entire rebels. They never thought in their dream that first day I was meeting the General Issa and next day I am fighting like this. No, they had nothing in their mind that Indian troops will do this. Surprise was the biggest success story. In any battle, if you create that kind of surprise, it is a force multiplier for your success. So we had that complete surprise. We did early morning, I would say around 5:30 was the breakout. We did the breakout. We break that cordon of RUF and we moved out, and thereafter we had the link up.
And so I'm going to request you to keep your soldier hat on, as you said. And I have a question, sir. You said Sierra Leone has peace now, relatively speaking, since where you left it. Is peace possible in your mind, sir, without conflict? And the reason I am asking that question is, unfortunately, we're surrounded by conflict.
Yeah.
Right? So, and most of it, it's been 10, 12,000 years, however old Indian civilization is. A lot of the conflict comes to us, we don't seek it, but it's there. And so oftentimes, growing up, we always wonder, should we have been seeking conflict more as a race or as a civilization from the times of the Mughals to now? And is that the only way to achieve the kind of peace that as a civilization, as a country that we would want? So is there possibility, sir, of peace purely through diplomacy? That's my question.
Actually, military is the last weapon for diplomacy, as you are aware. I mean, historically, if you see, conflict has been part of any civilization. And today also it is there. And you can't have peace without the conflict, because only peace, and everywhere peace, I think somehow people don't feel very happy with that. And even I would give an example which I normally give. It is not only the country, you see any family. It's part and parcel that conflict may not be with weapons, but that conflict is there. I mean, everywhere, wherever human beings are there, conflict is part and parcel of, or I would say, that thought process of getting into competition, which ultimately takes you in the domain of conflict. So you cannot separate conflict from peace. It is, we in army call it no war, no peace. That is a situation where you have both part and parcel of any civilization, any history, any kind of... it is not only India, any country you see today. Why Ukraine and Russia are fighting? They are well-developed countries. So conflict is part and parcel. I mean, peace is going hand in hand with conflict. You cannot have a situation where absolutely everything is hunky-dory, there are no conflicts. I mean, that is something for you to even see around you, anywhere.
We just hope that we have more time with peace than we do with conflict, right? We hope that the conflict has an end goal of peace. So on that end, I would like to thank you very much for taking your time off, for flying from Delhi, for listening to us, talking to us. I'd like to tell everybody there's multiple books sir has written. Operation Khukri obviously is one of them. Rifleman Aurangzeb is written by your daughter.
Yeah.
And we'll be putting links to all the other books, sir, in the podcast as well. So thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate your service and we appreciate your time to come here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Jai.